Author opinion of Dennis Keane at the History, Geography and Architecture, Culture and Life Manners of Kazakhs in the program Discovering Kazakhstan.
On today's episode, pulling Uyghur noodles. The spellbinding music of Shash Makam. A Uyghur wedding with a bonfire. Salam, Privyet, and hello. I'm Dennis Keane, and today on Discovering Kazakhstan, we will be discovering the culture of the Uyghurs. Originally from Western China, this Turkic ethnic group is one of the largest minorities in Kazakhstan. Come along as we explore their food, culture, music, and more. There's no better window into a traditional culture than a wedding. We heard that a young couple, Camille and Pashmina, were preparing for their nuptials and asked if we could have the honor of joining the festivities. With the classic hospitality that Uyghurs are known for, we were adopted into the family and were given free rein to observe the whole wedding. We were warned, it's not just one ceremony or even one day, but a complex, multi-part series of rituals. The first ceremony was the day before the main event, where the older relatives of the newlyweds gathered to bless their matrimony. Friends and relatives all dressed up in their finest to wish the newlyweds well. There were many speeches and toasts, and tables were topped with Uyghur sweets. This even was decidedly low-key, just a prelude to the main wedding ceremonies that would happen the next day. On the wedding day, the bride and groom were separated into two camps, and we headed over to the groom Camille's place to check out the scene. It is the morning of the wedding, and the wedding party is again strictly segregated, with the men with the groom and the women with the bride. We have come to the groom's house, where the groom is nervously preparing to help him get ready for the big day. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
It reminds me a lot of my wedding day. The groom is getting all dressed up in his finest clothes. We have the best man here paying close attention to his friend, making sure he looks as spiffy as possible. There is an energy of nervousness and anticipation, of course, in the air, but at the same time much more calm than I would ever see at a wedding back home. It very much feels like people are going through the motions. They've been to these weddings dozens of times. They know exactly how it goes. But I'm sure for the groom to finally be dressed up in the outfit himself, looking so nice, is truly an honor. I already feel that this is going to be an epic celebration because it's just a little bit past noon and already the party is getting started. As we're sitting here waiting for the limousine to show up, impromptu dance party. The way they dance really reminds me of like people from the Caucasus. Throughout Central Asia, they have this very kind of tough, masculine way of moving their arms around, and everybody's smiling, everybody's having fun. The spirit is really irresistible. So it's time to hit the road. We're heading over to the bride's house. The groom and his best man have some fresh flowers to bring over to their family. And you can see we have this procession of beautiful automobiles. Big black Geländewagens, or G-Wagons as they call them here in Kazakhstan. They are the coolest cars to have, and we have not one, but 5 of them. And then here, for the groom's party, a big, beautiful limousine. The groom's caravan has now made it to the bride's house, where you can see that everybody has been eagerly waiting in anticipation. But as we're going to see, it is not so easy. He cannot just walk through the threshold of this door. They are blocking the way. The bride's relatives are going to have all sorts of tricks and games to make it as hard as possible for him to get in this fortress. One game they're playing here is that the groom cannot put his soles on the steps. They've lined the steps with big pink and white balloons, and he must step on the balloons in order to get up to the front door. So one more step we have here is that they have to kind of bribe their way in by putting some money into these glasses. They're even paying here with an energy drink, anything that they can put in there of some value. One thing you notice is that around here it's exclusively young people. If yesterday's ceremonies were kind of very formal, very much for the elderly and for the respected older generation to give their blessing to this wedding, today, and especially this afternoon, is very much a time for the youth to have some fun. So we've been racing on the roads over here. We're playing some kind of fun games, lots of jokes and laughter. They said they weren't going to let them by without a song. They took a long time to deliberate, find out what kind of fun melody they could sing, and apparently this is some Uyghur pop song that everybody seems to know the words to. And now we're almost through, taking our steps up. The bride must be hiding upstairs. Now this is just beautiful. Here in this room of pink curtains, the bridesmaids in pink, they're holding up this pink scarf. She's hiding behind it with the beautiful bride herself. But they're not ready to let us have a look yet. They need some more donations here. $100 is on the table. That should be enough, but let's see. Oh, all right. And there she is. Now that the groom Camille has retrieved his bride, the guests are treated to some celebratory snacks before the bridal party goes to cruise around town some more, taking wedding photos at scenic spots around the city. We let them have their fun and headed over to the site of the main event, which starts later that evening. Variously called Toykhana, Merimkhana, Saltana Uy, these kinds of special banquet halls for weddings are all around Kazakhstan, and they never fail to make my jaw drop. Especially this one is insane. There seems to be more crystal chandeliers than I can count. Every surface is coated in glistening jewels, and there are 300 seats here for the guests that are yet to arrive. As the guests arrive at a Uyghur wedding, they are always greeted by traditional musicians. And some of the instruments that they have are just amazing. Check out this long trumpet called the karnai. It makes this blaring, buzzing sound that can be heard throughout the neighborhood, and it's a way to call people to the ceremonies. In addition to the karnai, we can also see here some traditional drums. These, I can see that the drummer has been maintaining in preparation for the guests to arrive. Each of these drums makes a different tone, and he's been putting some water on here on top of this skin in order for it to have a different sound. There's a whole science behind making these instruments sound their best. So we have the karnai, we have some drums, and then we have this one called the surnai. If the karanai can only make a very basic buzzing sound, it's more for kind of this loud bombast. The surnai is the one that actually carries the melody. And we're going to see as this guy plays it, that it has this very unique kind of squealing, plaintive sound that is classic to traditional Uyghur music. The drums are being hit. It feels like we're going on a hunt. Meanwhile, a blazing fire has been lit here in front of the banquet hall. And the bride and the groom are going to do a procession around this fire 3 times. It's said that this has some kind of cleansing function, but it is a remarkable feeling to be here. Everybody clapping, this fire going, and then walking around it with such grace. Have begun. Those same young men who we saw outside playing the karanai and surnai turn out to be the dancers. They have some drums, and they're now accompanied by 4 lovely young Uyghur ladies who are doing some traditional dances. Everybody is watching captivated, but they are waiting for the formal entrance of the bride and groom. As the party gets underway, the traditional dances continue. A Uyghur wedding is part family ceremony and part entertainment showcase, with heartfelt toasts interspersed with traditional songs and dances. In one dance, men spin around with garden hose, a hint at the Uyghurs' long history of working the fields. Even with metal tools as their props, these guys make the dance look graceful. There's another dance where the Uyghur men flirtatiously dance with the Uyghur women, trying to steal their fruit. It's all very fun, but full of ancient symbolism. A simple diversion, but also a meaningful rite with roots in a rich culture. The wedding would go on all night, but we went looking for another side of Uyghur culture, visiting a Uyghur restaurant to try their locally famous cuisine. In a city like Almaty that is full of minimalist sushi joints and staid fine dining establishments, Uyghur restaurants always stand out from the beginning with their bright ornaments and colors that you can see outside. But just as they are bright and bursting with energy on the outside, on the inside they have the music and cuisine that is bursting with that uniquely Uyghur joie de vivre. Now this is exactly that kind of classic Uyghur joy that I'm talking about. This zest for life that you can find in the Uyghur people, and it is all over the walls here of this restaurant. But what I think is neat is that in Uyghur restaurants in Almaty, it's never just 100% traditional, but it's something that's mixed with modernity. So we have what's basically a portrait of a Uyghur elder. He has the long white beard and the traditional hat called the dopa, but it's been mixed here with pop art, which is classic Almaty Uyghur style. Even here, I can see in this candelabra that they've set up here, we've got these fantastical floating bubbles, but mixed in are dopas floating down from the ceiling. Yes, if there is one thing that you notice about Uyghur people, it is that they are serious about their hats. The national hat called the dopa. This is the male version that we saw on our oxacol in the pop art painting. What you see is that there's this very distinctive ornament on it all around the four sides. And what they say is that this actually represents an embryo. If you see it, these little feet there. So the embryo suggests how the Uyghur nation is continually being reborn. In here we also have a kind of female version of the dopa. It is lighter and with more pinks and purples and bright colors. But I think my favorite of all of the dopas in this dopa collection of the restaurant is this little mini dopa for the young girls. One fascinating folk art that you can see at Uyghur restaurants is gourd art. Uyghurs would traditionally grow these kinds of large gourds, dry them out, and use them as vessels for tea or different drinks. But here, they become a kind of folk art as they've been decorated with carvings and paintings. We can also see how different gourds would be carved out and served as a serving spoon in order to pour tea at a traditional Uyghur tea ceremony. But the decor and dopas are all here just to complement the main attraction, which is of course the timeless Uyghur cuisine. Uyghur noodle dishes like lagman have become a staple throughout Kazakhstan. But the Uyghur cookbook is much more complex than many people realize. My friend Rustam offered to show us what he's cooking up in his Uyghur kitchen, a place that makes some fine lagman, but also some more unusual dishes that are a real delicacy.
So today we're gonna show you a very traditional food that we usually eat. It is lagman. So it's like a noodle, which is very interesting, which has a very interesting way of preparation, special preparation by hand. So we're gonna just see how it's going to be. And first we add some wheat, and then you will always mix it with different types of spices, different types of fillings, eggs and salt, etc. And then you will see a very interesting result. How is it prepared, the process?
Okay. So I can see that here we're just making a basic dough.
Yeah.
That'll look something like this.
Actually, this, yeah, really.
Yeah. But then eventually it's going to transform into what we have here, which is the actual lagman noodles.
So you remember the bowl?
Right.
Now you see a
now it's a little finger.
Yeah, finger, but it doesn't look like noodle yet. Yeah. But soon, you see, it's going to be very, and it's already stretching.
Whoa! It's
already stretching.
It's like
you want to try?
Wow. But I can also see that the way he's rolling it out, he has to move his hands in a certain movement.
Yeah,
right?
it's because absolutely round. It's so strong that you can do like this.
Right. But the way that we've been doing it, if you just let it stretch like that, you can see it's a little bit thick here on the end, it's a little bit thin in the middle. Nobody wants to eat a noodle like that.
Yeah.
You want it to be perfectly regular all along.
And he's making it perfectly.
He's a master. Again, the dough is rolled out, chopped up, handled, and cared for with so much love you'd think it was alive. Indeed, this lagman dough has a lot of personality, as I would see as I tried my hand at the main step in its preparation, the noodle stretching. Noodles are whacked against the table and pulled into ever longer strands, before they're folded back over again and the whacking and stretching starts over anew. With every iteration, the number of noodle strands doubles, and the pasta becomes thinner and thinner.
Let's start doing it. Let's try. No. From this side. You see? It's like, it goes like all of them are supposed to be like this.
So you see there's already a certain technique there. Is that you have 4 little fingers here. I've got my 4 little fingers. I'm going to pick it up like that from the edge.
And try.
And then just...
Bam! Again. Bam! Again.
And it really does stretch out.
Yeah.
Like,
now you collect.
Now
collect.
Bring it back together again.
Then you take this. Oh, stop. You take this side.
Okay.
This side?
Ah, okay, I see.
Okay,
and
do it again.
Some more.
Yeah, do it again. Just beat it. One more. Once again.
No, you don't deserve this.
Once again.
Why am I being so violent?
Now you try to combine it again.
Okay.
Now you go the same.
The same.
The same. Try it.
Well,
Okay, it goes like this. It goes like this because you see, in there
okay. Look at that. So this is what you have at the end. You have all those little noodles.
No, then you will have
together.
Then you will have one more noodle from this.
Ah, really?
Yeah, really.
Well,
then
you have to keep recycling.
Yeah. It will be recycled.
No noodle waste here. I'm trying my best. Huh?
You did great. Give me 5.
All right. So we're almost there. We're almost there. In terms of the circumference of our noodles, this is looking pretty darn ideal. I don't know about my form, but this is the first time I've done it.
Actually, you did a good job. You see. Yeah, really. I want to try it. You want?
Oh, it smells amazing. There's nothing like fresh pasta like that.
Yeah, pasta. It's not just a pasta. It's a magic pasta.
Uyghur grass.
Uyghur grass.
The noodles that we've now prepared are just the canvas for a wide variety of sauces and soups. In fact, lakman is more of a genre of food than is any one distinct dish. There are an infinite variety of saucy preparations called sai, made from vegetables and meat. Common ingredients include bell peppers, napa cabbage, celery leaf, yard-long beans, and garlic chives, adding a combination of heat, bitterness, and sharp flavors that complement the fresh noodles. But lakman is a dish that is universally known and loved throughout Kazakhstan, even outside of the Uyghur community. Next, Rustam would show us a dish that's more obscure, but that he's trying to glorify and bring back to popular awareness.
So what we're gonna see now, it is a very traditional, something that you would never ever see in any other ethnic group in the world.
Okay.
Yeah, we are eating lamb's lung. So this white thing.
Maybe there's a reason why you don't see this in any other ethnic group in the world. Is it good?
They just don't know how to do it.
Okay.
It is great. It's not good. It's great.
I'll have to take your word for it.
Yeah. So let me take it first. Take it first. So this, as you see, a lung.
Wow.
But how is it going to be prepared? And there is a huge process. So when you take a lung from the body of a nice lamb,
okay,
very nice lamb, it's going to be very small like this. So it's really small. But when you need to wash it, go through it. When you take the lung from the lamb's body, you will see it's just small like this.
Right, it must be because this is the size of this is half the size of the sheep.
Yeah.
It's huge.
But then when you blow it inside, you will see it becoming bigger like a balloon.
Now hold on, what do you mean when you blow it? So you're taking a sheep's lung and you're blowing it up like a balloon?
Exactly. That's what you do to see if there is no holes inside. So if there is no hole, you can eat it, and it is good for preparedness. And then there is the technology. When you wash it, etc., it becomes very nice and beautiful pinky color. And then you would put a very interesting cocktail inside. Yeah, we call it cocktail. Okay. So this is like wheat. Eggs, and you would put there some butter and milk and many other things.
It's this kind of stuffing.
This is stuffing. So you prepare a big bowl of this stuff, and you make a very nice, very beautiful cocktail. And so when you take it long from its throat, and you would just pull it in. Just
you pour it into the lung.
Yes, and it's becoming bigger, directly on that side. And when it is ready, you would just rope up the end so that it will not go out.
Right.
And then you would put it into a big bowl of hot water, and you would keep boiling it for like 1 hour, 1.5 hours.
Okay.
So it's long period of time.
But I'm looking at that now, and I don't see any kind of stuffing. So.
But this actually, let me show you. So actually, this everything inside, this is stuffing.
That is crazy, because if you look at this, it actually looks like a piece of cheese or something, but this is the lung that has absorbed all of that cocktail, as you said.
Yes, absolutely.
That's insane. So you're right. I have to give some respect to the Uyghur people for thinking up as something as crazy as that, because who would ever think? So you can eat it like this?
Yeah.
It's raw.
No, it's not raw. It's already ready.
It's cooked already, right?
It's cooked.
Okay.
Ma'am, that's delicious. And if you gave that to me, I would never tell you that it's sheep log.
And afterwards, when he prepares it all, we have a nice sauce to add. With the sauce, it becomes even better.
It's my favorite part of any cooking show. It's when we can fast forward to the actual sampling of the food that we've spent so much time laboring over. We took all this time to prepare this food, sent it off to the chefs, and here it is before our very eyes. Wow. It's a work of art.
Yeah, I hope you would like it, and I really feel that this is something prepared with love for you and for all the guests.
So I can see already some foods that are familiar. We have the lagman that we were making.
Yeah, this was lagman actually with the jusai, chivas.
Jusai is like garlic chives.
Garlic chives, yeah, garlic chives lagman, which is very interesting for springtime. Very nice and good for springtime. This is actually a combo, Uyghur combo.
Okay.
And this is sambusa, if you remember, this lady in the end that was making these interesting things with a bunch of different sauces. And this, actually we call it goshnan, which is a direct translation is meat and dough. Like,
okay.
So
it kind of looks to me like a quesadilla.
Yeah,
quesadilla.
Yeah, something like this. And also, this is, you remember we were trying long?
Yes.
This is it.
And
but it's already grilled.
It looks amazing, and I never thought I would say that sheep lung looks appetizing. But look at that with the grill marks.
And with this sauce, so let's start.
Okay. So it's interesting that we're eating with chopsticks.
Yeah, actually we really eat with chopsticks. This is a traditional way of Uyghur food eating, because this is kind of very ecological. This is like a very natural, organic style. And we, from the very youth, we got used to eat with chopsticks. So our kids sometimes they know how to eat with chopsticks, but they don't know how to use the fork.
What could make an evening of handmade Uyghur food even better? Hand-played Uyghur music. A folk group set up on what is probably the coolest stage in Almaty. A platform over the main door of the restaurant. A modern interpretation of the Uyghur tradition of putting their players on a perch above the audience. From up above, the folk instruments rang through the room. A framed drum called a dap, with its solid thwack, kept the complicated beat. The two-string dutar was plucked into making more melodies than you'd think two strings could manage. And a satar, played with a bow, had an evocative timbre that immediately stirred up visions of the Silk Road. Put together, these instruments are used to play makam, a kind of Uyghur classical music that to master must be studied for years.
Now I would like to introduce a very special tea that Uyghurs have.
This isn't soup?
No, this is not soup. This is tea. This is a very special tea. It has a very special system of preparation. It's not just boiling water and putting a tea inside. This is really tea with many ingredients inside, like sour cream, like milk, like salt. This is a tea with salt. You would have their very only you put here two types of tea, granulated tea and leaf types of tea. So two types. Then you will boil it, add some ingredients, etc. And then in the very end of your dish or of your dinner, of your meal, you would receive this big bowl of tea. This is the final part of any meal for Uyghurs. So please try it on.
Well, you know what, I have to say that leave it to the Uyghurs to take a drink as simple as tea, right, and make it as complicated and rich and beautiful as this. If there's any summation of Uyghur culture, it is this tea, which is is called what?
Atken chai.
Atkin Chai.
Yeah.
So I raise my Atkin Chai to you, my friend, and to our viewers out there. Thank you for joining us today as we have explored Uyghur culture. What a ride it has been. Until next time, Salvo, Baka, and goodbye.